we're set.
Okay.
We got enough. All right, we'll call this to order, and we will look at the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. All right, Bill?
I'm sorry, can I just real quick, I'm taking notes today for Kelly,
Okay,
so.
All right.
if I'm kind of trying to record this.
Okay.
If we could,
yeah.
yeah,
Bill seconded.
okay, thank you.
All right, no problem. I'll do whatever, as long as you're willing to take those notes, we will do anything. We have a ability for the public to make any comments if they would like. That's a 5-minute time limit.
I
Would you-
won't take 5 minutes.
Okay.
Hi, Jeff Gordon. Wanted to give you guys an update relative to, well, first off, thank you for the facade grant money that you've allocated for my projects. It's really helpful. And I'm very close. I've got glass installed on 347 and 349 River. If we had more technicians in northern Michigan, it could have been installed at 411 yesterday. Kind of kills me. It was just a gorgeous day.
Yeah.
Assuming we have, and we will, more decent weather, we'll get the glass installed at 411 and basically peace out. I'm anticipating that it'll be tight for the next meeting to have the invoices in, but the meeting thereafter, by the December meeting, you certainly should have the final invoices and close out your books. And once again, thank you. It's been really helpful. So appreciate it. Thank you.
I don't think it will be a problem. We get those invoices a month later. The books are coming to an end, right? We have.
Oh, no.
It's not
No,
October to October, it's January to January?
So we go July 1st to June
July.
30th, so we're in the middle of our fiscal year.
Oh,
and
that's fine then. We got lots of time.
Yeah.
Well, I want to get it closed out, so thanks.
Yeah, no problem. They do look beautiful. All right. Approval of the minutes from September 14th, our annual meeting. Are there any issues with them, or do I have an approval from anybody?
I'll make a motion.
All right, seconded, thank you. We also had the financials from September 2022.
Karen, would you like a voice vote on the minutes?
Yes, that would be great. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Passed. Now we'll move on to the financials. First, we have the approval of the expenses, which was sent out. I thought it was attached.
Yeah, so expenses are in your packet. Are there any questions or concerns? Okay.
No?
Appropriate step will be to approve the expenses, then we can, then we'll sign the checks later at the end of the meeting.
Great. All right, so can I have a motion to approve the approval of the expenses?
So moved.
A second? I'll second those.
Second.
Okay, Bill. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Passed. Next, we have our audit update.
So I will provide that. So the city has an annual audit which we tack onto, and we participated with the audit firm, and where we're at in the status, we have a draft audit report. We also have a letter going in of no significant findings signed by Kyle as part of the audit process. I can report to you that the draft has no significant findings, so it's a clean audit, and we'll await the final report and share that with the board when it's finalized. But we reviewed it this week, and it looks very, very good. So very happy with that. I want to give credit where credit's due. Carmen Cott did the lion's share of the audit liaison work, and with a little bit of help from Stacy. So this again reinforces our team approach. But I just want to give some credit to Carmen because she is doing a good deal of that work, and she's fantastic. So I just wanted to, even though she's not here, thank her. So that's it for the report.
Are there any questions for Mark? It's great to have that come out clear, no issues, so thank you, Mark. Can we, well, that's just an update, we don't need to approve that. Are there any other issues that you would like to present to us, Mark?
None today.
Let's move on to your executive report.
Sure. So on the facade grants, we received 5 grant applications at the end of the deadline. We granted some leniency on the bids because getting bids in at the moment are very difficult. So that was, everyone understood that if they weren't able to get it in, they can get it in a little bit later, but I think we'll need to take a look at those and make sure that they're solid. But what I had intended to do was to have a review and then provide you with the results. I'm not getting to that, so I'm going to just say I need to ask for some assistance.
Okay.
So if I could have 1 or 2 board members to help with the review of those 5 applications and then put forward some recommendations, I think that would be helpful. Rather than having the executive director team do it. So that's where I'm at. We can come back at the next meeting with those recommendations and then make decisions on how the money will be allocated.
Sure.
Again, we have $50,000 in the budget for facade grants, and you know, I think there's lots of ways to split that up. No one is asking for 50, obviously. We put a cap on it at 30. There's 1 grant at 30, and then the other ones are coming in the 20s, and then some at the 12 level. So, so that's that's what we're seeing.
What's a grand total, around 100?
I'm sorry?
The total of all of the,
Oh,
around 100?
yeah, you're definitely under 100. You're probably in the 75 range. So, yeah, I think that probably about the split. Yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly, I think this is the largest amount of we've had in a long time, applications. There's usually 1, maybe 2, but sometimes never.
Yeah.
But this is the largest amount of people that have applied that I can think of.
Is anybody here around who participated the last time we reviewed facade grant applications?
Yeah, yeah. I
Because
think,
whoever helps you there should be somebody who's got, you know, a history with it.
yeah, part of it is because there weren't that many applicants, it was easy to, except that they had to have the qualifications. I know that we, several years ago, we did decline 1. It was due to some financial information not getting to us and stuff like that. But typically, there was never an issue of having to choose. I can't think of, in the past several years, a time we had to choose through who would get them.
And to kind of remind everyone of the history, you all have been here longer than I have, so let's just keep that in mind in context. But it used to go to the design committee for that committee work. Decision was made to pull that back. With a small number of grant applicants, it was more of a technical review by staff and then put forward to the board as a whole. Because we beat the bushes and did the marketing to get the word out about the grant, we pulled in 5. So it might be advisable to have an ad hoc committee to do that on the fly and do the review and then disband until the next time we need something.
So again, I wasn't on the design committee, but I can kind of remember some of the conversation, like, there would be like a the scoring or something like, did they submit this? And did they submit this? Did they submit that? I think in order to move it to this ad hoc, we have to make sure that all of those pieces, or are you looking for the ad hoc committee to do that, score them or whatever, and then put them to the board? Which way do you want it?
I would like for the committee to review the application materials, see the scoring matrix that's on the application materials, and then score it if possible.
Certainly. I don't mind helping out with that. That's fine. Been around for a while. Does anybody else want to do that? Who's not here that we can assign this to?
Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle. There you go, Kyle. I don't mind. I don't think it's a heavy lift. I can go through that real easy if you want to send them over to me.
Yep.
And then I'll go that and give them back. And
then maybe also too, that I'll work with you on the committee,
Mhm.
and we'll do that.
Mhm.
So it's you and I.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you, Karen.
Yep. Just have to write myself a note to say that I had volunteered for this. Okay. How about economic development?
Okay. If you look at the reports, we continue to have a lot of interest in downtown, which is very positive. We have been doing some work on entrepreneurship. I think it is public now that there is a restaurant being or going into the Fillmore. So the chamber has been working with that restaurant owner, the business, which will lease from the building owners. So that is part of the work that we've done downtown. Work continues on larger projects with Northern Hotel and with the Music Vault, which we'll call River Street Hotel. On River Street Hotel at 348 River, the development team went out this week with the city assessor and CFO to determine whether it was eligible for an Oprah, an Obsolete Property Rehabilitation Act. It's still yet to be determined if they're going to take that abatement or a different abatement, the Commercial Redevelopment Act, but I presume they're going to go Oprah. In terms of other buildings, it's in much better shape, but it's still obsolete. But there's a lot of promise there. And so small boutique hotel, commercial space on the first floor is the plan. They received their construction costs yesterday, and no surprise, construction costs were much higher than what they anticipated. So when they come in and redo their pro forma document, they will identify a gap that will need some public-private partnership with an abatement. So continue to work on that project to revitalize that RRC priority site. The other RRC priority site that's moving forward is Northern Hotel. In the last few weeks, the consultant with Northern Hotel came in, sat with Bill Gamble, Ed Bradford, and I to go through their pro forma in a very transparent move. That allowed the city to see the actual financial gap. They will be applying for an Oprah there. That is their intention. The gap identified was $600,000. If you'll recall, for those that went on the tour back in June, we toured the Northern Hotel and saw the condition that it was in. And they, at that time, said that their budget was to invest $4 million to bring it back to a $2 million asset. And they anticipated using historic preservation tax credits and other abatements in order to close that gap. Same situation there. Their construction costs came in much higher. They had to whittle it back. They've done that work, which is why it's taken about 6 months. That kind of due diligence phase is what happens. But the consultant that they have, we'll see a lot of him and his firm in Manistee, but he believes in transparency and proving to the community that they need abatements. And, if there's ever a time that they have to come to us, I'm sure you will have all those details for those 2 projects. So that's kind of the highlights. I do spend about 30% of the economic development time on downtown businesses and projects. The city and the DDA and the county all investing, the money does come here, and is spent here, so.
So
that
is the
continues.
laundromat across the street, is that in the DDA district, or does it end right before it
It
hits that?
ends right before.
Okay, all right.
So I've been in touch with them, just so you know. There's 2 Johns, I can't remember their names, Baker and something else. They also presented at the Planning Commission, Manistee City Planning Commission. But they are looking at the zoning rules and how many long-term apartments they can put into that structure. They're also cognizant of the fact that previous owners have put in non-conforming apartments, so they're going to take care of that problem and eliminate that. I think that's a good move from them. We do need more housing units, so that's positive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good idea.
I want to give credit where credit's due here on something. Bill, I'm going to put you on the spot, or at least toss it to you for credit. How's that? The city is looking at a way to help development occur in the downtown district. If you look at an Oprah or look at a CRA, you have to first have city council approve a district. That's step 1. There's a public hearing involved, etc. There are requirements on size and such with those districts that the city is taking the step to approve a district-wide and then some CRA and Oprah district. The hearing, a discussion was held last night at City Council, and so I think Bill having the foresight to see this and working with economic development is a real positive step. So Bill, I'm going to toss it to you to kind of fill in the gaps there.
All right, thanks, Mark. So we looked at kind of the DDA district as kind of a baseline, then we kind of, and I wish I had the map with us here, but we kind of squared it off certain areas, kind of went up 31 a little bit, but it included the Peninsula District. So as Mark mentioned, there's a 2-step process for the CRA district that we did for the Hampton, and it's typically you set up the district, there's a public hearing, and just kind of having that set up ahead of time. I think knowing with all the interest of developers coming to Mark that quite a few are coming in. So just kind of getting it set up. I think there was good interaction last night with council, so I think when we do get one of those Oprah applications or CRA ones, we can kind of move forward with establishing the overall district. And
So when I was there and I looked at that map, DDA was all in blue, the new districting is red. So the DDA is included in that though, right? It is?
Correct, yep.
All of it, okay. And it looked most of it is East River Street, and then you said the peninsula up there a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't stay for the whole presentation. I knew this was, I know about this, but it looked like a good plan from what I saw.
I think what Councilman Szymanski pointed out, how the CRA district has to have to be a certain amount of acreage, so this would kind of just make sure we have it set up for individual properties like Music Vault or Northern Hotel, just to have it ready to go.
So one of the things that I said last night was it sends a signal to developers that this is where the
Yes.
city wants to focus its attention, but it also gives them a step forward, so it's something pre-approved in terms of the district, right? These things take a lot of time, and as I pointed out last night, that the Hampton Inn and Suites tax abatement that was decided by City Council, I think, of spring of last year, actually just got through the Michigan Tax Commission, so their tax abatement starts this December, end of December. So for the next tax year. So good timing in terms of the project, but you know, it does take time. If we want to make things happen in Manistee, you know, trying to pre-approve the things that can be done without taking away autonomy from the authorities that grant it, like City Council, then we should do that and make it easier for developers to do that. One other thing I'll say in addition to Bill's comments about what was in red, we are receiving interest in Manistee, and so when we think about all the work and the plans that have been done in the past, like the Peninsula District Plan, or some of the things you might see that kind of anticipate will come next, like the First Street east of US 31. The red also included the laundromat. That was anticipated. I believe that's right. So, you know, kind of anticipating where some of the future growth is going to happen and some of the easy low-hanging fruit. But it also doesn't mean that City Council can't come back and grant another one in the future.
Sure.
That would be whatever, but this would just kind of send a signal. So,
But I think a lot of you were on that tour, Bruce, you were there and you saw those buildings. They're just going to sit until it needs a lot of investment. I don't know what Jeff's were like before he started, but I'm sure there's just a lot of work needed.
and you know, Jeff, I don't want to single you out, but you're the only member of the public here. If you were interested in applying for an Obsolete Property Rehabilitation Act exemption to freeze your taxes, if you're going to hold on to the asset, I mean, you could fund the interior work off of the Oprah. So, I mean, that is something that's in the toolbox for you. I know that certain city council members have commented in the past that we need to make sure that we're helping the local small folks too, as opposed to the great big Grand Rapids folks that are coming in. So that's more my opinion than others, but that is something that's available to you.
Yeah, appreciate
And
it.
this district will make that possible.
This'll blend down to a little bit of what Bill's going to talk about too, but you took the streetscape plan that we're thinking about, it looks like, and kind of overlaid it in this too. I mean, when you're deciding where you're going and what you're doing. Cool, all right, excellent. It'll be interesting to watch. I mean, that east side of River Street is like a gold mine sitting out there. But there was a huge development idea many years ago, which never got through the city. So it'll be interesting to see if that resurrects.
And let me just, in the past, we've been really good at plans and not on implementation, right?
Right.
There's another really good plan
Good.
sitting there on the Ironworks building.
Great.
And, you know, I think these types of things might incent a developer to come in and to do that work, or partner with someone and do that work. And so that's the hope.
Yeah, I do hope that something happens with that building, more than just that one little spot. It's a big it's Manistee's, one of Manistee's big history things, so it'd be nice to keep it.
I'm going to say one more thing. I'm sorry, I keep going on and on, but one question from Mick Szymanski, Councilmember Szymanski last night was really important, and I want you all to hear about it because it mentioned the DDA. His question was, does this mean that the DDA is going to expand into those areas? I think Bill responded to that by saying, no, that's not the intention. And that I want to make sure that we're clear that that's not the intention, but it's just envisioning future development and where it might go. So it's not necessarily a strategy for expanding the DDA, and the ramifications that that has with the city's tax base, would be something that would be contentious. So we're not interested in doing that. People have come to us to ask us to expand, individual businesses or such, but that's not the intention with this. So I just want to make sure that that's stated and that the question was heard by you all.
Sure. I guess that didn't even jump into my mind when I saw what you presented, but I can see where they would go, oh, uh-oh. Yeah, all right, well, good. All right, thank you very much. Lots of good things. Just a real feel-good momentum out there. So it's terrific. Thank you, Mark. And thank you, Bill. We have reports from the ad hoc committees. First, again, is the Streetscape. Bill?
Thanks, Karen. So Mark and I met with our city attorney about the contract for the Streetscape with F&B. I think it was a good meeting. We talked about, I think they gave us a draft contract. George wasn't very impressed with it, so we want to set it up so that we have in the contract some things that we want to see, such as each intersection maybe having a couple renderings, and we want to make sure that we have decision points brought back to us, and then before they go too far down a road, no pun intended, but they can kind of have cost estimates for us, and we can have something we can implement, because the last thing we want from this is just a plan. We want some actionable things we can do it, and I think kind of setting up at each intersection and then the overall street, and then having it where we can do phases to kind of short-term, medium-term, long-term, and then I think we had the design phase, the public input, so we want to have it where we can have outs if we feel like they're not producing what we want, what we feel is satisfactory. And I always think about public administration. They talk about when you contract for something like lawn mowing, where you can visibly see what's being done. You say that, oh, the grass was cut, you can pave it. Then when you have something more technical, you need to be paying more attention to contract management and the contract. So we're working on that. I think we had it was an hour meeting. I think it was productive. So we'll see what George comes back with, but it's going to have some protections in there for us so that I think we saw a lot of potential with what they could offer. We want to make sure that we get what we saw in that proposal. So hopefully something back next month, and we'll have some timelines in there too as well. So
That's good, and I like the idea of just like, even if it's in phases, just something small or something quick that we can do, that the community can kind of say, oh yeah, this is moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've had, as you know from all the studies you read and look at, and we've had a lot of community input and over the years, but this is the first time we're going to have something that on the other end. So I think that'll be exciting for people to see anything happen out of that. Excellent, thank you. Your knowledge and ability of doing that is really so helpful. Business district, I don't think we'll have a report on that.
I'll just throw in that Deanna, who has been chairing up the Downtown Business Connection Committee, formerly the Downtown Merchants, had an in-person meeting in September. One of the bills was for that, for the goodies for that, but that was the first time that they've met in person since I think the beginning of COVID. So the reports I heard were It was a very positive interaction. From our staff, Cassidy has been attending and managing that group with Deanna. Actually, let me be clear, Deanna's in charge, Cassidy's staff support. So I think that's going well. And we just sent out some communication of a recent newsletter that goes out to businesses. So we're staying in touch. So Deanna's doing a great job.
Excellent, good, thank you. Beautification Committee, Kelly?
Yes, I just wanted to let everybody know that the volunteers are active maintaining all of the gardens, such as the art park and the tree garden, butterfly, and the native garden on the river walk. They put in a lot of hours maintaining those gardens, and I hope it's all appreciated. The flowers are in for the fall, and I would like to revisit that again to see if that made the impact that we wanted it to make this season. Other than that, we were working on the city marina, and I just want everybody to know that we didn't quit. We were asked to stop by the city, but we would like to continue on when we can, when it's approved. And that's it.
It is appreciated. You know, I know you guys are working in cold weather, warm weather, wet weather. It's great. It's great the volunteers are doing that. It takes a lot, and you know, it's like that we have so much in the city, so many beautiful things, and for people to take pride and work on those things, it just does mean a lot. You know, not everybody can be down there, not everybody participates, you know, in those work efforts, but everybody, I believe, appreciates and takes advantage of all the great work. And I know this, I was listening to the conversations last night in regards to the city and all the park stuff that is brewing too. So I know that we're stretching and really pulling on our staff, and I'm glad that I know that they probably appreciate that you guys are. It's hard to get to everything, and I'm sure that they appreciate too the staff themselves, that you guys are there with extra hands. So sometimes we trip over each other, sometimes it doesn't work, but most of the time I would imagine it probably helps. So thank you, Kelly, and the crew. Anything else? How about this, how about just a question I was down here the other day. Is the college doing this in the spring, or what's their plan?
Great segue to our next
Oh, okay.
item.
All right, the improvement, okay, well, let's go to the improvement stuff.
So I had a 2-hour kickoff meeting with the EDA yesterday about the Riverwalk grant. So that art park's all tied in with that overall spruce to just east of 31 Riverwalk grant. So it's going to be, it's a federal grant, so there's a lot of reporting, a lot of checklists and things like that. But the first step's going to be getting that design firm in. It can't be Spicer, is what they told us, and then making sure. Then we have to have all the easements done. So we have 31 months to complete the project. They want to see construction start within 12 months. So we're going to be busy working on getting that going.
It's a little nerve-wracking since you can never find anybody to work on anything, you know.
So I think they do understand that, and they did say, come August, as long as we're kind of moving along on things, and if there's issues, they can provide some extensions, but they do have some of those hard dates, like the 12 months, the 31 months.
Sure.
So.
Great.
And if I can just add, as kind of a reminder, we've been working on this and Bill's done a great deal of work on this over the last 9 months or so, 11 months, sorry. It's important to remember that the match that was required for the federal grant actually was the DDA portion of this work.
Right.
And so the DDA is the reason why the
Yep.
city had the ability to match and go out and get that grant. So just so that we remember, that's the segue piece.
So yeah, we can't move on that, it's part of the overall project, so there's,
Okay, all right.
and it's gonna involve, yeah, Davis-Bacon rates and all those things, and, yeah. So,
Well, great. I know that it was quite a shot in the arm to get that grant, and thank you for all your hard work on that.
So to answer your question, if it follows their timeline, it should be starting in September next year.
Okay. Just another one I just wonder about that I always keep my eye on is the one across the river. Is there any
So we,
movement?
yeah, we applied for a North River Walk grant through the trust fund. They did give us our initial score. We're kind of in the ballpark of where they award.
Okay,
I reached out to the disability group of Northern Michigan for a review that would hopefully get us 10 more points. And so that was due October 1st. So it's been a busy time between getting the Minger grant together in that scope and sending in more information for the trust fund. But I think it's important that, you know, the city kind of try to get all this money we can for Manistee. So that's what we're doing there as well. So we'll should be hearing back on that in December.
okay.
And then it's a yes or no. But I think it's one of those, if we don't get it, we do some work on that, and then we continue to apply every year to get that money, because it's a $560,000 project to fix that up.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Is there anything else? Any other items? All right, let's move on to new business. Marina Landscaping work.
Per our last conversation, I met with Larson's Landscaping for the city marina, and you all received your proposal. This includes, we're not standing there, so it's hard to, there's so many walkways in the city marina, but it's up at the top by the shuffleboard. There is a sidewalk that washes out all the time when it rains, and so we were talking about boulder retention and a floral design that would be very eye-appealing, as well as the dog park. So the landscaping would be up on the top, and then it would tear down to the dog park, which would be absolutely beautiful. She did do a rendering of that. I'll just pass it around. I didn't get it until this morning. We're also talking about overgrown areas by Spruce Street and the docks. So in between there, that goes out to the river. That's all overgrown. That needs to be all pulled and replanted. The proposal did include that area as well, but not to replant, because they have no idea what that will look like after everything is pulled. But the proposal does include the area that I previously talked about and the pulling of all of the shrubbery and stuff.
That's that dead end?
Down by the river, yes.
Now, that property is owned by the tribe on the left-hand side, right? They bought the building.
It's a funeral.
Yeah,
Right,
right.
doesn't it stop at Spruce Street?
Well, no, everything on the left is part of that property where the old funeral home used to be.
Right.
And so you're talking about stuff
Everything
that's
on the
right in
right.
front of it? Right, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
It leads down to
Yeah.
the old gas stop that was there many
Yeah.
years ago.
Okay.
Everything in the marina is overgrown and
Yeah.
can't be manicured anymore.
Mhm.
So their quote is everything that could be redone. It's the landscaping that's there now that would be pulled and replanted. I tried to get 2 other bids, and
Oh, it's very hard. Yeah.
it wasn't happening.
You're happy with this, Kelly? Think it'll be good?
Yeah, I think they do good work.
And there's a lot of overgrowth. I had to pull those 2 that you showed me over the benches that were we're just
Oh, right.
overhanging.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot of overgrowth in general.
That's on the mid-level, correct?
Yep.
Karen from Larson said that that's actually, could be really pretty to just leave it how it is, except carve out a little bit more and plant some other plants there. It's kind of intriguing, they're wrapping around the benches right now.
So, do you want an action on this?
Well,
We've talked about this, what, three or 4 times?
and because we couldn't do the other areas, that's why this one was requested.
I'll make a motion to approve the,
I'll second that.
I didn't catch.
He's making a motion to approve the landscaping request or landscaping marina work.
when would they start? Do you know?
They can start in the spring. If she would have gotten it into us for last meeting, they could have been able to have done it this fall, but they got busy quick.
I almost feel better that it'd be spring instead of having it, because, yeah,
Well, she did say plantings in the fall, get a good,
base.
yeah, so it's not a bad thing to plant in the fall.
Have we aligned everything that we need to align to be able to approve this?
No, we need to ask a question. The proposal is for a total of $25,158. The current budget for improvements is $20,000, and we have drawn down on that, I think about, I don't know off the top of my head, but we've drawn down off of that about $2,000 or maybe so dollars. So I think we probably have a total of 18 available in the current fiscal year. So there may be some prioritization that will be required by the DDA before making an approval moving
Okay.
forward. If
That's, I
it's
think-
to occur all of this year, you could have a phased approach, but that will involve a commitment for next fiscal year.
Being that it's also the city property, are they able to squeak out some money, do you think?
Well, and I think that the tough thing is this is part of that grant area too,
Oh, okay.
which I would think that maybe some of it could, we mentioned kind of native plants and rain gardens. But is there kind of one area, like the shuffleball court or?
Well, that was my thought, if we had to divide it up on the top tier would be what I think would be needed first. And then maybe do the other area down by Spruce Street at another point in time.
And it's a ways out too, but I think, and I think the shuffleball court, that's not gonna interfere with anything, the design work that's gonna, because I think a lot of it's gonna be,
On the Riverwalk.
yeah, I think so. So maybe,
And that's
maybe amend
the, I'm sorry.
could amend my motion to do the $11,316.13 area.
All right, I will.
I move.
Does that work?
Is that doable?
Yeah,
That's within
that will
budget
work.
then?
And I'm double checking numbers, but that will be a conservative approach for our budget.
Right.
Okay.
So I'll second that.
Okay, so the
Amended.
motion is
To approve.
to approve the area along walkway by Shuffle Court
Right,
for $11,316.13.
correct.
And that includes the boulder retention, but what's on that picture?
Well, that's what I was gonna say, it's like, that seems, because of the washout and everything, that probably is a better place to start anyways.
And that was made by Bill, and I'm sorry. you
Seconded by me,
You
yeah.
seconded it?
I mean, is there any way they could fit it in with a reduced scope?
I
No.
can call her today.
Okay, just see if, yeah, if that's possible.
Thank you, Kelly, for dealing with that and taking that on, it's beautiful. It's
I know
exciting.
it-
Do we need a voice vote on that?
I think so.
We should take a roll call on
A roll call, I
money.
should say?
Yeah, Yep. So I'll just say Goodman, yes.
Alan, yes.
You're fine, don't worry about it,
I'm fine.
don't worry about it.
Jody,
Whatever.
yes.
Yes.
Bill?
An ecstatic yes.
Kelly, yes.
Thank you.
Alright.
Anything
Thank you very much.
other than that? Yep. All right. Public comment again. You're offered 5 minutes to make any comments.
Public has nothing more to say.
Thank you.
But actually, I would
Yes, Barry.
add one thing. Everyone is invited tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. The Origins Walk dedication down near First Street Beach, Lions Pavilion area. This is thanks to grant funding for this project instigated by the CBB. But it's really been a big community effort, and really want to say thank you to the tribe and all the input they've had in this, which has really changed the direction of what that project is about. But yes, tomorrow morning is a dedication, and I don't even know who's all been invited, but we're hoping for a good turnout.
Did you say 10 a.m., Barry?
10 a.m., yes.
Thank you.
And then the other thing I want to add is, as you're planning the rest of the Riverwalk developments, the CBB, I think, would be interested in partnering because we certainly have ideas on how to extend some of the concepts of kind of the artwork and what is the Origins Walk into other aspects of the history of Manistee. We've already thought of locations on the Riverwalk project that would be ideal for this and some ideas. So as that process is moving forward, I think the CBD would like to be a partner in that. So.
Definitely. And I remember Jody brought it up, and that was part of the grant application to extend those things down.
And if I could just follow up, Barry, if you would like to sit down and meet with me or Sammy, you and I would welcome that conversation too, to kind of help the conversation, and maybe invite Bill if he's interested. But I can certainly field that. I'd like to know where the community public art locations are in your opinion, and maybe there's some legwork that can be done ahead of time with building owners or other things.
Definitely be interested in helping participate or arrange that meeting. Yeah.
Perfect.
Barry, do you know if the tribe has been invited to tomorrow?
Yes.
They have, okay.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They're part of the presentation as well.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, thank you.
Great. Beautiful work. It is gorgeous. Any comments by other board members? Any issues, thoughts, suggestions, complaints? Good. All right. If nothing, then we will adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.